Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 Ignite FM Student Competition. Let me get my presentation going here. I'm Mike Schley. I'm the organizer of the competition. And this is, I'd like to first of all thank FM Systems, a company, by the way, that I founded some years ago, who is our sponsor for this year's Ignite FM competition. FM Systems is dedicated to developing the software and technology needed to manage the workplace of the future. I'd like to also recognize our judges.
Michael, you might want to full screen your presentation. It's not full screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. We will fix this sharing. I know what's wrong. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay, that should be better. True?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to acknowledge and recognize our 10 judges. Andy John and Antoinette Ferris from JLL, Tony Pucci and Dustin Little from ABM, Angela Johnson and Larry Hood from Sodexo. Those three companies are GWI advisors, so we thank their companies for their support of the IFMA Foundation. Representing our academics are Professor Mike Bound and Professor Mike Bound from Brigham Young University and Jim Bichard from Conestoga. And representing IFMA Fellows is Pat Turnbull. Pat is also an IFMA Foundation trustee. And representing the IFMA Global Board of Directors is Kate North. So thank you to our judges. I predict they will have a tough time this afternoon. I also like to thank our 16 competitors. To be a competitor, you have to be a scholarship winner, and not all of the scholarship winners were able to, did not have the time on last Saturday or had conflicts of their schedule, but 16 of them did compete. We divided the 16 into 4 teams of 4 students each. And the team composition was a little bit tricky this year. We start with no 2 students from the same school on the same team. So you've got to appreciate that these people come together not having known each other and have to get to know each other quickly in order to get to work solving the problem. We also distributed the degree levels. So we had everybody from associate degree to bachelor's to master's to a good number of PhD candidates in the mix, and tried to distribute those between each of the teams. But this year, the competition was virtual. So unlike usual years when everybody's gathered physically at World Workplace, this year everybody got on a Zoom call and worked remotely. This gave us one additional complexity, which was time zones, because we had people from Europe, Paul Schmitter competing from Switzerland where he lives, all the way across the 4 time zones of North America, and then all the way to Ashley Long in Hong Kong, and Trent Warren, who is going to school at California State East Bay in California, but lives and was competing for Melbourne, Australia. So we had some staggered times and made the team composition accordingly. Ashley and Trent draw the short straws this morning, since it is morning for them, or not morning for them, it's middle of the night in Australia and Hong Kong. So we thank you for your stamina and staying up late. Each year we try to craft a problem that is current to what is happening in the world. So it should not be a surprise to anyone that the problem this year had to do with COVID. As we all know all too well, last March, we had an involuntary global experiment in working remotely as the entire world went in lockdown, and any job that could be done remotely was. Eventually, a vaccine will be found. The news is promising, and we will have the opportunity to return to work. But will we? Will we go back to the way it was? Will we decide that remote working is really so much better and continue with that, or will companies find a third hybrid solution for the workplace? That's what this year's problem is about. The student teams were told to serve and act as facility management teams for a 2,000 employee software company. This company had about half of its employees in their headquarters in Palo Alto, California. They also had about a quarter of them at the Boston Seaport, another 200 at expensive leased space in Canary Wharf, London, and the final 300 scattered and working remotely in various locations throughout the United States and the United Kingdom. Their job was to recommend a workplace strategy for after the pandemic ends, with the working assumption that by next July, it would be safe to return to work without requiring social distancing or special measures. Many employees are in this problem, this hypothetical company, are appreciating the benefits of working from home, zero commuting time, better work-life flexibility. But the company over the years has taken a lot of pride in its innovative and creative design of its workspace, and has found that the company culture that workspace promotes is a major factor in employee retention and recruiting. Also, managers express concerns about employee morale, difficulty in collaboration, reduced innovation, and how the company's culture of innovation and creativity can be maintained and sustained without a physical workplace. So, what should the company do? The teams will be judged on 4 criteria. The first is creativity. Have they come up with solutions that are not obvious, that are outside the box? Balancing that is critical thinking. Are those solutions realistic, feasible, logical? Third is presentation quality, both visual and verbal. And fourth is passion and persuasion. Did they make us believers? Usually teams have 3 hours to solve this problem, which is incredible. I'm amazed every year that they do this. This year we added an extra hour to compensate for the difficulties of working remotely, but it is still an incredibly short amount of time. They did the problem last Saturday, and every team used their full 4-hour allotment, but they all made it. I did not have to get harsh with anybody. At the end of that 4 hours, they emailed their PowerPoint presentation, and that is what they will be presenting from today. I will be running the PowerPoint to avoid too much back and forth transition, so they'll tell me next slide when they're ready. Before we get into that though, I think that's the last slide here. I'd like for the red team, is Erica Schroeder, Catherine Moore, Tyler Klein-Sasser, and Andrew Steele, to turn on their videos so that we can see them. And suggest you go to gallery view and ask each, actually maybe speaker view will be better, each student on the red team to introduce themselves. And after they've done that, we'll start their PowerPoint. So go ahead, red team.
Sure. Yeah, we have a slide in the presentation for this as well, but we can go ahead and start right off the bat here. My name is Andrew Steele. I'm a master's student pursuing a master's degree in construction management at the University of Washington with a master's thesis. Right now I'm focusing in on what I want to study, but it's likely going to be in the area of IoT and cybersecurity. Right now I'm a working student, so I pursue education in the evening while I work full-time during the day. And I've worked as an owner's rep construction manager for the past 5 years. And I feel very grateful to return to IFMA as it was a big part of my undergraduate experience. And I was fortunate enough to win the IFMA scholarship back in 2015 and attend World Workplace in Denver, which was a great experience for me. And with that, I'll pass it on to next team member.
Go ahead, either of the three, Erica, Catherine, or Tyler.
Hello, Hello, everyone. I'm Erica Schroeder, and I'm an interior design student at Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm very excited to be here, and for the meantime, I'm also working for a custom home builder. My interest is in residential design. But yeah, good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hello, my name is Catherine Moore, and I am a fourth-year student at Texas A&M University pursuing a Bachelor's of Environmental Design with a minor in Architectural Heritage Conservation. I'm very passionate about using architectural heritage and rehabilitation methods to preserve historic districts as well as small town America. And so that is my eventual goal to pursue, and very excited to be part of this competition.
Thank you. Finally, Tyler.
Hey everybody, I'm Tyler from South Coast School of Mines and Technology. I'm getting a master's in construction engineering and management. Good to see everybody. Good competition last Saturday just to work through this problem. Really learned a lot and got to know my team and stuff, and looking forward to it.
Thank you. And I trust that all of you in the audience are taking notes on where these students are getting their degrees and when they'll be graduating. And by the way, word to the students, commercials here are encouraged. With that, we will start the red team's presentation. Okay, I'm ready to say next whenever you wish, red team, and you are free to start. You have 10 minutes.
All right, welcome everybody. As I said, my name is Andrew Steele, and I'm part of the red team. And we're excited to explore and provide the solution to this problem that we were able to research. So next slide, please. Here's an overview of our team and our schools. My name is Andrew Steele, and I'm a master's student at the University of Washington, studying construction management.
I'm Catherine Moore. I am a Bachelor's of Environmental Design student at Texas A&M, minoring in Architectural Heritage Conservation.
I'm Erica Schroeder, and I'm in my final year of interior design at Kirkwood Community College.
Hey everybody, I'm Tyler Kleinsaucer from South Coast School of Mines. I'm a graduate student in construction engineering and management. So we'll start with the next slide on the agenda. For this agenda, we have a couple different items. First is the overview, really outlining our outside the box solution of what our solution is. Next, we go into the background info and the considerations, where we present our logical explanation for how we decided what to do with everything. Then we go into the solutions and benefits, the baseline costs and assumptions, and then the advantages of the proposed solution. And in this, we really show the data that backs up our solution and the money that really proves that our solution is a good idea. Finally, we go to the summary, where we really sell our idea as a sustainable solution, which is the right option to choose. So next slide, we'll go right into the overview. So with this, the design problem, before you can solve a problem, you have to understand a problem. So essentially, tech company ABC is wondering what to do next. We have COVID and it's disrupting the world, and they have to have a plan moving forward. And we have to consider what the company needs. So the needs and interest of the company. A couple different things that were outlined in the design process. So the employees have become accustomed to the freedom of working from home, which is great. It's a great opportunity. And if we can continue to embrace that, that's great. But we also want to maintain the identity and the community culture, which is really important to them. And then also the company takes pride in their creative and innovative identity. It was stated that that helps with their retention and their recruitment of people. So we really want to embrace that as well. Next, we go to the considerations and alternatives. So right now we have 3 different locations. We have California, Boston, and an international location in London. And that's cool. We have this work from home. We're looking to get a hub hybrid format is what we're looking to do. So the solution, like I said, is the hub hybrid format, where we maintain the headquarters with multiple flexible hub locations. So on the next slide, we'll go into a little bit more on that.
So a little bit on the background first. We have the company identity. It's a dynamic software company with an innovative and creative culture, and they're already familiar with working from home due to the current pandemic right now. But they do have workspaces. So they have their Palo Alto headquarters with 1,000 employees. They have their office in Boston with 500, and office in London with 200, and then 300 employees work remotely. So the current conditions, they're working from home. They do have the leases to the Boston and London offices expiring in the following 2 years, and there's an expectation to return to the workplace in mid-2021. Next slide, please. So the considerations we had to take into mind first were mental health. There's a sense of isolation created in working from home environments that can lead to mental health issues. Key concern was isolation and burnout, which 82% of remote tech workers reported feeling burnt out, and 19% of workers reported a sense of isolation. And this was something specifically that the managers were concerned about. And then also rent costs was a big consideration. Second to payroll, facility and real estate is the second highest cost. And we weren't sure if the locations were worth the cost of their facilities. And then finally, we were worried about a loss of identity. This company has worked hard to create its identity. By going completely virtual, would that be lost? And we want to maintain a sense of morale and collaboration. Next slide.
So the solution we came up with for tech company ABC is to maintain their headquarters in California and to reduce their satellite offices to a hub kind of office. So they're creating kind of much smaller kind of hub locations where they're able to have bi-weekly meetings and collaborations, but then they're allowing their employees to still be able to work from home. In addition, we would create 2 more hub locations, so 2 more smaller satellite hubs in 2 other growing cities that would be considered very opportunity-rich areas for the tech industry. And the reduced headquarters space due to the hybrid format would also open up the potentiality for a leasable space. So one of the ideas that we're really kind of really jumping into is this idea of this hub connection. So having a very dynamic work environment where it almost becomes a central point for these workers to come and interact and be socially engaged, be able to be engaged in collaborative settings, but also be able to still thrive in that work from home culture. So we're really providing a best of both worlds hybrid workspace that allows that kind of flexibility of location and then maintaining that identity through that main office that they would still have. And we're also going to be looking at the monetary benefit that could come from this. So we'd have a reduced facility cost, but then we also have the opportunity for increased leasable space. And we'll be jumping into that in our next slide. So next slide, please.
All right, here's where we get into the cost benefit analysis. Now, in order to perform this cost benefit analysis, we had to make a number of assumptions, which I'll detail. Basically, the focus here is that we built a workable model that can take data from the facility in the real life situation and plug it in. We identified Salt Lake City and Omaha, Nebraska as up and coming tech locations where the talent was rich and there's a tech identity growing there, but the facilities cost is not as great. And also for Palo Alto, we didn't have information about the leverage cost of the building, so I applied a lease cost there. Some of the assumptions we made here was 250 square feet per employee. I understand that's a little on the rich side, but we decided to go with that. And we decided to reduce the daily number of employees by approximately 70%. Applied some FM service costs from Whitestone reports and escalated that for inflation based on the cost data I had. And here's our baseline cost in the baseline, which was $274 million. On the next slide, we can see the proposed solution and the benefits. So this one, we can see that we're reducing the occupied space in Palo Alto by 70%. We're taking out 10,000 square feet in Salt Lake City and in Omaha. We're reducing Boston and London. We're gaining the opportunity of creating revenue by leasing out the highly lucrative space in Palo Alto because we're not going to need to use all of it all the time. And what we've done here is we've reduced our facilities costs from $274 million to around $18 million a year. So it's a reduction of 93% facilities cost. And with that, next slide.
So to kind of wrap up, after evaluating several different post-COVID plans for tech company ABC, we believe that doing this new hub, this hub hybrid system would be the best option to address the problem. It allows employee flexibility, so they're able to appreciate the work from home culture that they've become familiar with, but still being able to address manager concerns with collaboration and staying innovative with the opportunity for new office locations, the ability to socially and collaboratively interact, and really kind of still building that company culture of though separated and spaced out, there's still a strong identity that can be found in their main headquarters and in those hub locations. And offering a financial solution, which is positive to the company, with a 93% reduction in net cost. And that about wraps up our presentation.
Okay. Well, thank you. You nicely made it with 30 seconds to spare. Very nice work. We will now transition to the blue team. Thank you, red team. So blue team, go ahead and turn on your video cameras, please. We'll get you all on the screen. And Kaylin, go ahead and introduce yourself if you would.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Poshner. I just graduated in August from Conestoga College in an architecture project and facility management program. I'm very passionate about sustainable design, and I had a great time working with our team for this competition today.
Thank you. DeMarcus Means.
Greetings. I am DeMarcus Means, a graduating facilities management student at the Florida A&M University here in Tallahassee, Florida. I look forward to graduating on December 12th from the School of Business and plan on FM being my career of choice. This is my first time competing at FM Ignite competition at World Workplace, and it's the highlight of being a scholarship winner to me.
Thank you. Emma Leary.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Leary. I'm majoring in FM, graduating with my bachelor's in April from Ferris State University in Michigan. This is my first time applying and receiving a scholarship, and so I'm looking forward to this experience.
And finally, Paul Schmitter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Schmitter. I'm a postgraduate student at Liverpool John Moores University. I'm a part-time student there. I work in Switzerland at the Zurich University of Applied Sciences as a research associate, and I focus my research on the digital transformation of FM in healthcare specifically, and looking at topics of ambient intelligence and artificial intelligence. And I'm very much looking forward to presenting with the blue team.
Thank you. We'll get the PowerPoint queued up here. Okay, blue team, you may begin.
Again, greetings. We are the blue team. I am DeMarcus Means. My colleagues consist of Emma Leary, Kaylin Poshner, and Paul Schmitter. Next slide, please. When formulating our response to figure out which buildings we will renew, lease out, or completely dispose of after the onset of COVID-19, once a vaccine is found and the pandemic ends. We had to understand that our current FM team for a software company with about 2,000 employees, and we're looking at ways to increase remote employees across our 3 physical locations listed on the screen. We had to ask ourselves these questions. Next slide, please. How will we keep our current building portfolio? Will employees want to return to the office? How are we going to increase innovation and collaboration? What do we envision for our company? And what new policies must be put in place to ensure that this transition happens smoothly and effectively? Next slide, please. My colleague, Kate.
Considering all the questions that DeMarcus has mentioned, our FM team came up with a new future vision for the company. The future vision will better utilize the current real estate assets. It will do this by providing innovative office spaces that encourage creativity and collaboration, and by investing in co-working spaces. Our future vision is also very flexible by utilizing Agile booking for increased access to more office environments and using BIM and VR software so that employees can make the most of the current working locations. Our future vision is also includes flexible, progressive policies that allow employees to work from home and make their own hours to increase productivity. And finally, our future vision invests in employee morale by providing accessible services for employees in remote locations and contributing to their overall well-being. Next slide, please.
So let us look at the real estate direction from a strategic perspective. Here you can see the current situation of our real estate portfolio. With the headquarter office at Palo Alto, we expect 50% of the employees to return to the office after this pandemic. The Boston Seaport office and Canary Wharf have both their leases ending soon. Next slide, please. Our future vision that Kaylin just presented before there is also reflected in the real estate direction. Here is how we would go about it. At the Palo Alto office, we will keep ownership of the office building. However, only 6 stories. 2 stories are converted into co-working spaces, allowing for flexibility in usage and the increased exposure of our employees with new innovations. The other 4 stories are leased completely to a third party. With the other office locations, the Boston Seaport and Canary Wharf, we suggest extending the leases. However, also here reducing the capacity by 50 to 60%, of which the remaining space is transformed into additional collaborative work zones. In addition, if necessary, we can rent throughout the city's co-working locations. This offers the employees the needed flexibility to work together. Next slide, please.
So we're expecting to have a lot of employees who are going to continue to work independently at home and use that home office for independent work. So for our physical locations, we want to have a large focus on encouraging collaboration and creativity. We want the physical offices to create social areas such as informal lounge spaces, breakout rooms, and meeting rooms where groups can come together and start conversations. We want the offices to include games rooms and amenities to get people thinking out of the box and having fun with team members. We also want the offices to have great design features and pops of color to spark creativity. Overall, we want the physical offices to become fun spaces where people come to chat, collaborate, and create new ideas. And moving on to our next slide, we want the offices to incorporate agile, flexible desks and room booking. This way, employees can have access to a variety of different environments and they can book the space that best suits their needs for that day. They can also utilize the booking system to locate coworkers within a building and their meeting rooms. We also want the new approach to utilize co-working spaces, as Paul mentioned. Co-working spaces are offices that multiple companies share access to, and they can have many benefits such as more networking opportunities and increased cost savings. Moving on to the next slide.
So to increase collaboration within our organization, we want to create a virtual meeting space where everyone can gather. It will utilize BIM modeling, virtual, and augmented reality. The organization will take the buildings and replicate them into BIM, and then they will transfer over that BIM model and create a VR/AR environment. By incorporating these technologies, it will create a sense of belonging by allowing employees to still experience the building and interact with coworkers virtually. The top video clip is an example of how someone would walk through the BIM building using VR and AR. With VR and AR, a person can interact with artificial objects. Additionally, a person can be placed within a room of people as shown in the bottom photo. This will allow the organization to continue to gather in a common area, but have the flexibility to allow virtual attendance. Since you'll be able to see the whole person as if they were in the room with you, this will increase communication. Remember, only 7% of communication is communicated verbally, while the other 93% is nonverbal. Incorporating these technologies will allow for others to interact and engage with one another by allowing them to view facial cues and body language to maximize effective communication. Next slide, please. As an organization, we would like to provide our employees with the flexibility of choosing where to work from. This will create the need for setting standards and new policies for all to follow. To minimize confusion, team meetings should be scheduled for the same time every week. This will provide structure for each department. There will also need to be trainings to adequately train employees how to use the upcoming technology that we would like to use. We now have the technology and ability to monitor employees' remote working hours. Instead of choosing a software that will track every website and employee visits, we encourage that the organization uses other methods to monitor their employees to allow for more freedom and flexibility with their schedule. This would require maybe weekly VR AR meetings in place of meetings in person. Additionally, requiring end-of-day summaries or weekly summaries will help determine the progress that the employee was able to make throughout the week. And then lastly, a standard employee evaluation should be altered to better evaluate the performance of each individual. A behavior observation scale evaluation will gauge the frequencies in which the employee has demonstrated effective behaviors in the job, such as how often did the employee contribute ideas to the meetings, or how often did they show up late. This will allow those who are working virtually to still be evaluated, but not just on their productivity, but their contributions and involvement to the organization. Next slide, please.
Finally, let's look at the employee morale. We consider offering equipment and services for our employees. The smart office platform, as shown before, can increase employee access to services. Importantly, the remote IT services are integrated into the smart office platform. We will also offer additional funds for home office equipment, as well as home office workshops on ergonomics, etc. Besides the technologies, equipment, and services, a major aspect is well-being. With this pandemic, we have seen how important this is and also how employees are struggling. We will address this in the following ways. For one, through well-being workshops. Also, we want to foster strong workplace culture. Obviously, this is challenging when the workforce is not physically there, but there are a number of ways we can address this, such as shared digital and physical environments, team bonding events, strong communication, and also through employee benefits, which include flexible hours, vacation time, paid innovation leave or sabbaticals that could be integrated with the co-working program, and insurances and other benefits. Last slide, please.
In conclusion, we chose not to keep our current building footprint. We plan to reduce it drastically across our 3 locations, creating new workplace habits and better utilizing our real estate. Our innovative ideas around agile booking and co-working at the office, coupled with our VR, AR technology, will ensure we have a successful workplace strategy and policies that promotes innovation, collaboration, and flexibility. This will be key once a vaccine is found and our staff still desires to work remotely while having our creative and innovative workspaces they can come into if they so choose. Similar to Jacob Morgan, we must be willing to evolve, as he says. Change is the only constant. And in that type of environment, the only way to know what works and what doesn't is by trying things out. Every experiment is a chance to see what works and what doesn't. Thank you. Our sources, next slide, please. Include the 7% of communication, none other than the IFMA Foundation Pandemic Manual, MapIQ's Workplace app, and HoloLens technology. Thank you all.
Thank you, Blue Team. Okay, next we move to the Green Team. Ola Adam, are you there?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Ola. I recently graduated from Conestoga College. I took architecture and facility management. I'm very passionate about the sustainable built environment, and I had a great time working with my team last Saturday, and I look forward to meeting everyone in person one day.
Great. Matt Cruz de Oliveira.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Cruz. I'm an undergrad at Temple University here in Philadelphia. I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree in facilities management. This is my first year competing, and as Ola said, I'm very proud of my team, and I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you. Anna Morris.
Hi, I'm Anna Morris. I graduated 2 years ago from Syracuse University with a Bachelor of Architecture in Economics. I'm currently a first-year graduate student in architecture at Princeton University, and I'm very excited to present our proposal.
Thank you, Danny Dipin Kasana.
Hi, I'm Dipin Kasana. I'm a third-year PhD student at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. In addition to my PhD, I'm pursuing my second master's in data science and business analytics. Most of my research work is focused in big data analytics, workplace change management, and operation and maintenance benchmarking. And I'm looking forward to this presentation with my great teammates.
Well, thank you. Let me get your presentation up. Okay, you may proceed.
Hello, everyone. We are the Green Team. We have already introduced ourselves. So I'm Ola. Can we just move to the next slide, please? First, we would like to start with a little bit of background. We are a DYM software organization that has 2,000 employees. The organization has 3 main offices within the States and the UK, as well as remote employees across the 2 countries. Next, please. The scenario that the company is facing now is offices are expected to be occupied soon as we are assuming a post-COVID workplace. The company, therefore, is aiming to ensure a smooth transition from remote working to physical workplace. The company would like to ensure this transition along with enforcing the creative design of workspace environments to promote the company's image and vision. Therefore, the question would be, what are the organization's measures and guidelines for each location, including the 300 remote employees? Next, please. The company's approach is to generate a general utilization strategy for all locations. Then we will develop a short and long-term strategies for each location, including the remote employees. Also, we will be looking at the hybrid workspace strategies and the organizational change management. Next, please. Now, our general utilization strategies, or in other words, objectives and general considerations would be, the first step is for the operation and maintenance teams of each facility to fully investigate the facility performance before the return of employees. And these investigations will include the HVAC systems, janitorial, the social distancing requirements that they were put in place during the pandemic, and then the building automation systems. Secondly, the return of employees will slowly take place to ensure their well-being and engagement. This as we are aiming to create many social circles and training for all employees. Thirdly, we will offer flexible on-site working opportunities such as hot desking, hoteling, and collaborative spaces. The fourth step is to implement digital systems for scheduling occupancy of hybrid workspaces platforms such as iOffice, using space sensors to track the occupancies coming to each location. Also, we are aiming to add an expansion of technological capabilities to accommodate the expanded remote employees. Moreover, we're also aiming to have a focused space optimization to minimize costs and maximize the opportunities. Lastly, all sublease agreements issued are to align with our company's guidelines and requirements. Next.
So since the post-COVID world is still unknown for us right now, we decided to set short and long-term goals for each of the facilities. And the idea behind that was that this would allow us to have a test period for before we consider more permanent solutions. Next slide, please. So this is the first facility. It's a 12-story building located in Palo Alto, California. It's actually the company headquarters and it has 1,000 occupants, and the company owns this facility. So for the short-term goals, we would like to create a categorization of employees who will be working on site, remotely, or hybrid to really maximize productivity, engagement, and enhance collaboration. Optimizing the amount of square footage dedicated to employees who work on site, it's also one of our goals. We would also maximize the use of flexible workspaces with the use of software such as iOffice. We would also suggest redesigning the workspace to better accommodate employees who will be working on site or hybridly. And since we're assuming that the employees would be working remotely, we would suggest dedicating part of the facility that's not being fully utilized to short-term general lease space. And since some employees will have the option to work remote or on site, we would suggest dedicating part of the facility to flexible workspaces that could be used either by the company itself or by a third-party company to also generate profit. And for the long-term goals, we would like to really take a look at these spaces and how they're functioning and if they're meeting the company's needs. And then based on the data we collected, we would also suggest redesigning the workspace to better accommodate the long-term employees' needs. We would also suggest phasing out the lease spaces or moving to a smaller facility if they decide that part of the workspace, part of the workforce could potentially be working virtually after the pandemic. And finally, since the idea is also to create more flexible spaces where employees would have unassigned spaces, workspaces that could be booked before they get to the office, that would potentially allow for growth in the company as well, since not as much real estate is being used. Next slide, please.
So our next facility is located at the Boston Seaport, consisting of 5 floors with 500 employees, and is a lease space expiring at the end of 2021. So in the short term, all employees will primarily work remotely for the remainder of 2021, and we will reduce building operation to a set number of floors that is based on need, and which will reduce building operation and service costs. In the long term, the short-term study will again produce occupancy and use metrics that will be used to determine what space and types of working are needed in the future. And if necessary, we will sign for a new lease space that better corresponds to actual usage needs. Next slide, please. So we additionally have a smaller facility of 2 floors and 200 employees in London with a lease that will end in 2022. Again, all employees will primarily work remotely until the end of 2021 with a certain amount of office workspace available during this period. That will be reduced to a set number of floors to, again, decrease building operation and service costs. Any vacant space will be subleased in the short term to a third party to generate additional income, and guidelines will be set to ensure that these businesses operate in a similar manner to our company. In the long term, we would study the needs of employees via the limited operation plan to determine new types of hybrid working and spatial needs. We will determine if a space is actually needed or if all employees can work remotely, which has been seen as successful based on the 300 current remote workers. If needed though, we will sign for a new smaller space or a co-working space that can be used by all remote workers. Next slide, please.
Considering the innovative and collaborative culture at Dome Industry, we have adopted a hybrid workspace model that integrates different types of workspaces at one location. For our scenario, we adopted traditional workspaces with assigned offices, flexible workspaces that allow shared working, telecommuting or remote working, and finally co-working that allows third-party workspace offices. These workspaces will be assigned based on employee responsibilities, background, and their skills. Next slide, please. In order to successfully adopt the changes that are suggested through different strategies, our team will adopt Kotter's change management model, which is mainly divided into 3 phases. The first phase deals with creating the vision for change. The second phase deals with communicating the benefits and changes continuously to employees so that there's no resistance on the employee's end. Finally, to make sure that the change is sustained, the performance of the changes implemented are continuously recorded and accordingly treated. Next slide, please. Based on the strategies adopted, our organization recorded a number of benefits. We were able to reduce our physical space, which led to cost reduction in the areas of janitorial, utilities, maintenance, and other cost factors. We were also able to generate extra income through leasing out part of our facility spaces. The flexible workspace or hybrid workspace model allowed to accommodate future growth within the organization. Finally, a step towards sustainability by reducing our carbon footprint, by reducing waste, water consumption, and energy consumption from a number of our facilities. This allowed us to go ahead with the recommended strategies. Next slide, please.
So our strategy anticipates a future that incorporates more remote workers, but promotes collaboration and flexible working. In an uncertain climate of the future of office working, our short-term strategies evaluate the adapted needs of employees and produce the metrics to inform our long-term strategies. In the long term, this FM model envisions a post-COVID future that has adapted to changed modes of working, operating more efficiently and intelligently to adapt to the needs of the workers and the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Green Team. And you also nailed the time constraint, so thank you. Next, we'll go to our final team, the Orange Team. And this is our Trans-Pacific team with 2 in the US, 1 in Hong Kong, and 1 in Australia. Gabriel Gomez, are you there and want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. My name is Gabriel Gomez. I am a junior at a 4-year Cal State, California State University at Polytechnic Pomona. It's my first year as a scholarship recipient, so it is as well my first year in IgniteFM.
Thank you. Trent Warren, are you there?
Hi guys, I'm Trent Warren. I'm currently at California State East Bay doing a Bachelor in Construction Management. And I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia. And yeah, no, it's been a pleasure working with these guys and look forward to our presentation.
Good. Jeffrey Figali.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Figali. I'm a recent PhD graduate from Arizona State University. My concentration for my PhD was in construction engineering. I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona, and it has been a pleasure working with the team.
And finally, Ashley Leung.
Hey, hi, I'm Ashley, and I did my master's degree in FM in Hong Kong Polytechnic University. And I'm now working in a public hospital, basically focused on FM. And I would like to explore and apply the FM knowledge in this sector. And it was fun to work with my team last Saturday, and it's my pleasure to join IgniteFM. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll get the screen share going.
Okay, good morning, judges and everyone, and we are Orange Team. Next slide, please. We are a software company focusing on cybersecurity, and we have 2,000 employees, and we are based on Palo Alto, California, and we have branches in US and UK. And we are famous of our innovative and creative design. Next, please. So in this year, the whole world is in the pandemics of COVID-19. And as of today, there are 49.7 million confirmed cases with 1.25 million deaths. So various measures have been implemented to fight the virus, including lockdown, social distancing, and work from home, which our companies has been adopting. And our normal work operations have been impacted by the pandemic, but we have successfully been adjusting and keeping our business operational and profitable. And in fact, we keep expanding as more companies are changing to virtual. So they need solutions on the cybersecurity during the digital transformation. And we expect the vaccine or treatment is hopefully to be found, and we look for the resumption of operation in the middle of 2021. And we need to be prepared for it and explore our future work style and workplace. Next, please. So here is the phase plan for our solution. And at this stage, we are having completely work from home strategy with expected end date in June 2021. And our colleagues are working at home with the remote access and having virtual meetings in this period to sustain the business. And our team has prepared a lot for the equipment and setup of this workstation at home. So which we will cover in the next slide. And the next phase will, next phase will be after the resumption of business in the middle of 2021. We will suggest having a hybrid working mode for half a year. And we would then have to hear from our colleagues to know their views on the new normal and plan and equip for the expansion of company. And I will then pass to my teammate, Gabriel, to share our phase plan in detail. Gabriel, please.
Thank you, Ashley. As Ashley stated, this is condition, and that is everyone is working remotely from home. Phase one, then, our initiative here is reinforcing the workplace productivity through resources. We've taken heavy consideration in ergonomics, the type of ergonomics we find suitable in our particular workspace, since we are very prideful in our innovative design. Facilities will procure and supply organization staff with a desk, monitor arms, a suitable chair that complements the desk provided. Our goal is to shift workplace productivity at home to ergonomics. Another crucial component to our workplace productivity is hardware. Every staff must be equipped with a laptop to get their organization's work done. Other hardware will include a printer and a cell phone only for higher management positions. Now, because we've procured laptops, it is vital for our organization, just as any other, to secure privacy. And what I mean by privacy is secure private lines from one's home IP address to our organization servers. In this case, VPN with personalized logins for each staff will do the job, thus preventing hacking, cyber attacks, and leaks of crucial data that could risk our organization. Because we are an organization committed to cybersecurity, security, encryption, and privacy are our company's core. We will be partnering with our IT department to streamline VPN access to all staff. With this in mind, all staff is equipped with the necessary resources. We don't stop there. We mobilize on standards that standardizing the applications used in laptops and cell phones for convenience of communication and the feasibility of accessing shared work. We'll be limiting the application one can download to meet the standards of the company's communications process. As an example, utilizing Outlook, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Office 360, and SharePoint. All components are crucial to this and will be done without relying on our supply chains and vendors to procure such resources. This phase leads to other efforts that Jeff will be elaborating on.
Okay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, thank you, Gabriel. So as Gabriel mentioned, right now we are in phase one of our plan, and we are still in the middle of a global pandemic. Yes, we are hopeful that COVID will end by next summer, but for now we need to keep our operations and business running and profitable. So one of the most challenging issues we have been dealing with as a result of working remotely is reduced employee morale. So our employees have been struggling with their day-to-day tasks, which also may spill into their personal lives. Therefore, we have come up with 4 potential solutions to help in improving our employees' morale. So first, we will set up weekly check-in meetings with each team member and their manager. These are informal and quick check-in meetings where team members can discuss items either concerning to work or even their personal lives. So the second thing we want to do is we do want to introduce weekly feedback surveys. So in these surveys, each team member is recommended to answer a number of questions regarding working remotely, and then that ensures that they have a voice and that they're being heard. So our third item, and this is really key here, is our company already has 300 employees that have been working remotely before COVID-19 even started. So therefore, we really think that they're vital in helping other team members and other employees in the company in succeeding in working remotely. Therefore, what we want to do is we want to have them, we'll select some key individuals from these team of 300 that have been working remotely, and we'll have them lead workshops. And in these workshops, they're going to be about working successfully remotely. They will share their knowledge and best practices with others. Finally, this might sound a bit intuitive, but we did run into an article by the Wall Street Journal that mentioned work attire while working remotely. This is something important to note. It may significantly improve an employee's morale and productivity. We can't enforce it, and we don't want to enforce it, but we will recommend it to our teams. And we will also always continue to provide these type of supportive articles and share with our team best practices of working remotely. Next slide, please. So during phase one, we will be working from home, but sometimes employees do have to go to the office, either to pick up items or work from the office for a little while. So what we want to do just to maintain our operations and make sure they run smoothly during the COVID pandemic is we do want to set up a pandemic response team. So this task force will be responsible for managing the office and setting all of the required COVID-19 guidelines. So as facility managers, our key here is to actively make sure our office is safe for our teams. So we will be following a lot of key COVID practices, deep cleaning, particularly for high touch surface areas, kitchens, door handles, bathrooms. We will also enforce CDC practices and guidelines. So wear your masks indoors, maintain 6 feet of distance. And finally, an interesting one here is also we will try as much as we can to open windows when possible. So just bringing in fresh air from outside, which basically just helps reducing viral transmissions in general. So this is it for phase 1. We will go ahead and hand it on to phase 2 with Trent.
Next slide, yep. So in phase 2, beginning in June 2021, with the new vaccine available, we'll be moving into our hybrid work environment method. So we'll start with our online schedule. We will want to move toward all employees that want to return to the office can and be flexible about it. Each employee must meet a minimum of 16 hours a week of in-person hours in the office to ensure high performance standards, unless otherwise approved, for example, vacations or maternity leave. We'll use a block schedule, an online program where before the beginning of the week, you will specify which hours and days you will be in the office. This helps with any contact tracing, whether there be another positive test where we can see which employees are in the office at any given time. It also is accessible to every other employee, so it makes it a lot easier to schedule meetings or any other arrangements. Next slide. So beginning with our facilities, our first facility is our headquarters in Palo Alto, California. We will keep our headquarters in Palo Alto. With the hybrid work environment we have in place, there is no expectation that all 1,000 employees will be in the facility at any given time. As a result, we will be leasing out 2 floors of the facility to companies looking for office space. This creates a revenue of just over $1.5 million per year. Next slide. So the Boston Seaport office, due to the pandemic throughout our phase 1 model, we will be ending our lease of the 5-story facility in Boston, and this will be in effect at the end of this month. We still want our employees to have the opportunity to be able to hold meetings between now and June 2021. So the company will pay for any fees necessary to rent office spaces hourly. We will save around $962,000 throughout that 7-month period in which we are not leasing. We will then begin a new lease in June 2021 of a 5-story facility. Next slide. So the Canary Wharf London office. We will keep our lease in the Canary Wharf.
So wrap up in the next minute, please.
Yeah. We'll keep our lease in the Canary Wharf, whether they're working remotely or in the office. We want to ensure that they feel safe and comfortable in this space. Next slide. So the performance surveys are a key indicator that will be completed monthly to ensure that our employees feel safe and comfortable at the office, and whether they feel like they at any risk of any exposure to this virus. Next slide.
No, phase 3 just really means that we already had the tools set from phase 1 and phase 2. So if our company organization wants to expand overseas into 4 cities, we have the tools and necessaries to implement the hybrid operations and to the success of our organization's business plan. To wrap this up, we are capable to thrive working remotely and through leasing. And that concludes. Thank you all, and thank you for listening. And I hope everyone's safe during these pandemic times.
Hey. Thank you very much, Orange Team. We will now end the event. I think these people can do all of this amazing work in just 4 hours. Imagine what they could do if you hired them. So I'm sure you're all thinking about that. And we might have just disproved the notion that you can't do collaborative work remotely. These 4 teams have done a pretty remarkable job of doing that. So again, thank you everybody for participating. Thank you for the student teams who competed. Thank you to our judges, and thank you all who support the IFMA Foundation. Judges, I will meet you on the other Zoom call in a few minutes, and that will conclude our session. Thanks and have a good day.